James says, "Hey Bradley, I want to get your thoughts on this SOP for local rankings." Oh yeah, I read this question earlier before the today's meeting started or Hump Day Hangout started, and I actually diagrammed this out, so you guys will see my sketching skills. Which that's sarcasm. I want to get your thoughts on this SOP for local rankings. Seem to work really well, guys. This is sounds like a gem. It's going to need to be tested, but I'm going to read through this and then I'll show you the diagram because I think this is what he's saying. I diagrammed it out to make it easier for me to understand as well as hopefully you guys as well. So this sounds like it could work. I think it's worth testing for sure. So James, I appreciate you asking this question. He says, Bradley, I want to get your thoughts on this SOP for local rankings. Seem to work really well, and I would like to know if there's any downsides. We're building 300 directory listing citations, then tiering the citations using spam PBNs, and each PBN page has an NAPW, which is name, address, phone number, and website listing using an unlinked website URL, as well as a GB map embed. After all that, we force index the juiced up citations and rankings skyrocket. Are there any downsides to using this method? Sorry for the long question. No, not that I know of, except when you say you're doing 300 directory listing citations, I hope you're not using like Citation Vault for that, because if that's the case, or something similar, because I know there's a number of them out there now, there's copycats. I think Citation Vault was the original. Maybe not. Maybe Citation Vault was a copycat, and that's just the one that got the most name recognition. But in any case, I know there's a number of services out there that do that. There is a purpose and a good use of those types of links. I use Citation Vault specifically to link to an ID page, not to the money site. So I'm not saying, I don't know whether James did that or not. I'm just stating because 300 is the number that most of these services, not just Citation Vault, but the other ones that are very similar. I don't know what the magic number of 300 is, but that's what most of them have are 300. So if they're real business directory listings, then great. But I would not use those types of services to link directly to money site, okay? Just because those are clear footprints, like clear footprints, okay? Anyway, so if you're doing 300 business directory type of citations, okay, which would be appropriate and relevant to link directly to the money site, then I think this is what you're saying. You got the target URL that you build regular citations to, I hope, that have a link to the money site. NAPW, obviously, and then the link to the money site. So that's going to be NAPW, which is going to be the link to the money site. Okay. So it's an actual hyperlink. In this case, so if I'm reading this right, you've got a business directory listing that's going to have name, address, phone number, business description, and then a link to the target URL, which is going to be the money site. And then you're going to have PBN links, bunches of them, that in the PBN post, you're going to have a name, address, phone number, and website mentioned. So that's a citation. That is a citation, guys. Do you understand? We think of citations as business directory listings, and that is true. A business directory listing is a citation. That is what's called a structured citation. An unstructured citation is any other published mention of name, address, phone number, and website information, or some combination of those 4 data points, right? That's it. That's a citation. Think about, remember in school, whenever you had to reference other people's writings, you'd have to cite the source. That's a citation. What is a citation? It's a mention of the source. You get it? So the PBNs having NAPW is a citation, okay? But what you're saying is non-hyperlinking the website URL. Okay, so but a GB map embed, but a published mention of name, address, phone number, and a published mention of the website, but it's not a hyperlink. Do I think that would cause a problem? As long as these are actually valid business directory listings here, no, I don't see where that would cause a problem at all. I think that actually sounds like a gem of a strategy, actually. But I would not use something like Citation Vault for these types of links, okay? Because of all the reasons I just mentioned. It's a footprint. It's pretty clear that you can see that too, right? So anyway, do I think this would work? It sounds like it would. Yeah, I would like to test it, but I certainly think that would work because that's again, especially part of the reason I like Yext power listings. I've done talks about this on Hump Day Hangouts is because I didn't used to. I used to hate Yext power listings, but when it's a published street address in the United States, you get roughly 60 to 65 really well optimized. As long as you optimize the Yext profile incredibly well, then that syncs out. So you've got 60, let's just say 60 in the US with a published street address. You get about 60 published, or excuse me, really well optimized citation profiles or business directory profiles. Okay. And they're super well optimized with images, proper categories, business description, all that stuff. And then also, there's a featured message in Yext Power Listings, which I haven't done an actual test on this in probably 4 years now, but 4 years ago, I took these list of directories from Yext Power Listings and submitted them to a no follow link tester. So it was a bulk tester. It was might even still have it on my desktop. No follow. No, anyways, it was a software, free software from the GSA suite, or no, Scrapebox, from Scrapebox, that is a no follow link tester. And you could just take a whole list of URLs and plug them in and then hit submit, and it'll come back and tell you which links were follow and which ones were no follow, which link sources provided follow links and which ones were no follow. And what I found was interesting was on Yext Power Listings. Like I said, I haven't tested this in probably 4 years, but about half of them, 50 to 60% of them, the featured message, right? Just to be clear, in the business directory listings, you have your name, address, phone number, and website information. But then in the featured message section, you can put whatever anchor text or text you want, which becomes the anchor text, and then you put the target URL. So that's obviously going to be for like a special offer and things like that. But what I found was, for whatever reason, about 50 to 60% of the business directory listings that have no follow links for the website link as part of the NAPW would have follow links for the featured message link or URL. Does that make sense? And so, again, I haven't tested this in several years, but I always thought that was incredibly interesting, because then Yext Power Listings, like at the time when I discovered this, we were linking to the Google Business website. Remember, that's been sunset. They retired that. Google retired that in March of last year. But the Google Business website was perfect for putting in that featured message field, because then it would be a do follow links from about roughly half of the business directory listings. And then we would spam the shit out of the citation URLs, the business directory listing URLs, right? With just bulk spam. And because essentially what we would do is do bulk spam to the citations, and then the citations would have a do follow link to the Google Business website, which is a Google property, so you don't have to worry about over optimizing with it's a high domain authority property, which means it can withstand that type of kitchen sink spam abuse. You know what I mean? Like, so now what would be a good alternative? An ID page, right? Again, an ID page is perfect to put into that, because if you host an ID page on one of the high authority cloud properties, I still use Amazon S3 for that. Now you've got a very high authority property that, if you do the ID pages the way that we teach, you are literally referencing every single page URL in Google's index that you can find that has the NAPW referenced on the page somewhere with accurate information. And all of those page URLs then are referenced within the ID page. So if you think about it, you build citations from Yext Power Listings with the featured message URL linking to the ID page, and the ID page is a collection of every single page URL in Google's index that has accurate information published about that business that corroborates that NAPW information. And then you build PBN links to the ID page, or excuse me, to the citations, so that you can push spam link equity into the citation that flows through the do follow link to the ID page, which is an incredibly high authority page, which then distributes that link equity to all of those page URLs again. So it creates like a link wheel almost. You see what I'm saying? Because you're building PBN links to citations. The citation URLs are referenced in the ID page with hyperlinks. You see what I'm saying? So it creates like a link wheel where the PBNs are pushing link juice into the citations. The citations then are pushing link juice into the ID page. The ID page is then pushing link juice back out to the citations. So it creates like a link wheel. It's incredibly powerful. So anyways, I brought that up because, again, I think that sounds like a gem of a strategy, as long as you're not using those kind of spam. Don't get me wrong, guys. I use Citation Vault. I'm not saying don't use it. Just use it in the appropriate place is all I'm saying, or something comparable. Okay, hopefully that's clear. That's a great question, by the way.